Tracy. Forgive the background noise. I needed to go live in this moment with you today because if I'm going through it, you're probably going through it. Saturn is still retrograde. But I just had these healing waves come over me where I was remembering certain points of my childhood and realizing some things in the now. And it's so funny because I was like, oh, we're not going to the gym. I had to realize I'm not going to the gym this morning. But instead, we're purging, we are healing, we are, we're going to cry it out this morning. And I was like, okay, great, because that's not something that happens often for me. So that's what we're doing right now. And again, nothing has happened as a trigger. I just woke up and the impression came through and I simply responded to it. Hey, Sarah. So yeah, and I allowed my emotions and I allowed, myself to be in that impression when it came through. So then, I had my moment and then it went away and I thought that that was it. And I want to say maybe 5 minutes later, another impression came through and I responded to it and I cried again. So I said, okay, so this is probably a today thing where these waves of memories are going to come in and I'm going to release whatever needs to be released. Because I noticed that it's coming in waves. And once I release in that moment, I'll have a chill moment where I think it's over and then it comes again and like something else comes up and it comes out. So y'all may be going through some release stuff in the now. You may be releasing things through your emotional body. Now the title of this video is one of the realizations that I literally just had. And a lot of people use humbleness as a safety net because they're afraid to have stuff. Because if you grew up like me, things were always getting taken away. Things were always temporary. As a child, I couldn't ever really trust that if something was given to me that I was going to be able to keep it and it was actually mine. Especially when it came to material things. Okay? Bikes, stuff that kids like, toys. I didn't have the kind of childhood where I was able to keep things that were given to me. Okay? And that's all I'm going to say about that, So I realized that this is the reason why my Aquarian energy, that whole humanitarian, that whole I don't need much and survival mode kind of comes from my childhood. It's not just me being in the military and having the skills to survive. It's coming from a default safety mechanism from my childhood. So I have a history of other people like me. When you're a child, you don't have control over the adults in your life, right? So I just realized that I have a history and a pattern of other people affecting whatever it is that's supposed to belong to me or has been given to me or I've even worked for, because in my adult life, I carried the pattern on with my marriages. You see, I would allow people into my life that I had already established, and I would lose things dealing with those people. You see, my things, my second house things would be affected by other people. And you know how they'll tell you, don't let nobody drive your car, don't let nobody do this. That's a real thing. They don't treat things the same way that you would treat your own stuff. They're not going to value it the same, right? But I'm just realizing that this is the reason why I would rather spend money on temporary stuff than to spend money on physical, like, items. Because when I do have a physical item, it could be a car, it could be a washing machine, it could be a toaster. I take care of my stuff because I want it to last. But the people around me, most of the time in my life, did not have that same mentality when it came to their physical things. So they treated their things differently. And of course, naturally, they treated my things differently. So if I invited them into my life, my things were affected by what they naturally do with their own stuff. So I was still creating that pattern of receiving things or having my own things and them being taken away or destroyed in some kind of way. So all of the physical things in my life, even when I tried to give them longevity and take care of them, there was always me allowing someone else to destroy it or tear it up or whatever the case may be. And I just figured that out, that I carried that from when I was a child, and I received something from an adult, and then next thing you know, it's gone because it got sold or broken because my cousins broke it or whatever. I carried that pattern into my adulthood and started inviting people in my life that treat things like crap. And so it still kept creating that temporary vibe with all of my material things. You see? And I say all of this to say that being humble can be a safety net for people who've been through what I've been through, who never really had anything, not because they weren't given anything, not because they didn't actually buy it, but because from childhood there was a pattern of things and material stuff being temporary. Money, all the second house stuff was temporary for whatever reasons outside of yourself, and then you carried it into adulthood where you kept allowing those things to happen, making whatever you worked hard for temporary because of who you were allowing yourself to deal with, because of the unhealed stuff, right? And the real reason why you carry it into adulthood when you finally do have control is because you're afraid to have stuff. I created this mentality that I couldn't have certain things to a certain extent because people, just in general, I generalize people don't know how to treat stuff. So like if I was married and had kids, I couldn't have nice things that I wanted because they didn't know how to treat it, so why bother getting it, right? And I just created all of these beliefs and thoughts about my level of living and the quality of things that I own, because I chose other people over me being actually satisfied and living up to my own standards. You see what I mean? So it was, I'm today years old when I realized that I can have nice things. Yeah, I'm 40 and I just realized that I can have nice things and I can keep them for a long time and take care of them. I just have to make sure that I am discerning about who I allow around those things. And whatever it is I build for myself, whatever it is that I work hard for, it doesn't matter. People are going to talk when you have absolutely nothing, and they're going to talk about you when you have everything. So you might as well have what you want. And I've been working a lot lately, and I felt that sense of entitlement creeping up on me. And it's different now than it used to be. Because when you work hard, you start to think to yourself, I deserve this and I deserve that, right? But I didn't want it to be like it was when I was younger and ambitious and greedy. I wanted to be like, I really just deserve this because I exist and this is what I want. And it's okay to have it because I earned it. Because I'm working hard for this whole setup, this whole life, and other people are benefiting from this. Like I had to change how I was thinking about what I value and the things that I own. Like there's this second house thing going on here, this healing from my childhood with my second house right now that I think is absolutely awesome. And I'm in my Venus Mahadasha, y'all. And Venus is teaching me so much about money, love. Oh, it's an amazing journey, and I'm just in the beginning of it. It's 20 years long. So I'm just so grateful because I realized that I was afraid to be successful to a certain point, you know. And again, at a lot of us were programmed to feel like we needed people. So I think it was because of abandonment issues with material things and with people, right? With love and money, that I just I had it all messed up, to where it created a barrier between me and me having everything that I wanted and needed and deserved for myself. Like it created a barrier of me providing for myself those things, because I was always either concerned more about other people, but then those other people that I was more concerned about were not people matching my same values and my vibration. So they would come into my life and tear things up and make things temporary, you know? And it's all about what you allow, right? So I'm seeing the pattern and I'm like, oh well, this is why I've struggled so hard with getting myself the things that I want and loving myself and creating the life that I know that I deserve, because of this childhood thing, you know. And let me tell y'all, because I'm gonna be real with you, um one of the first impressions that popped up was when I was 13 years old. Okay. And I realized that I realized where I developed the belief that I needed to prove to people my loyalty and my love to them. And it, like, love was about what you could do for a person. And it was because of my relationship with my sister at the time. And I realized also that because I never actually had that sister relationship with anybody. That's what took me so long to get to having like a lot of women influences and friends in my life. Like, I'm just now coming into that. This whole time I hung around with mostly males because the women in my life when I was younger were not exactly safe. My sister, one of the closest, women in your life when you're a child, is usually your sister and your mom, and neither one of them were safe. Neither one of them were stable for me. So of course it took me a long time to come around to having a lot of female friends and things like that, because I had to, deprogram all of that stuff. So that was the first impression that came through that helped me to realize that I can have sisters, you know what I mean? I can have a safe relationship with women, period. Because I ran to men because of the fact that I didn't have anything with my mom and my sister. Like, I'm realizing how I used men as an umbrella for the rain, for my sadness, right? And then there was, when I was in the 5th grade, this impression came through like 5 minutes later of me trying to figure out how to make macaroni on my own. Okay. I remember literally in the kitchen there was only you got the water from the sink, you got the box of macaroni, and you got the butter, and that was it. Okay. That was all that was in there. um and I remember in the 5th grade, taking it upon myself to learn how to make macaroni because nobody was around. I loved being at school when I was in the 5th grade because that's where I ate. That was my safe place. And I know a lot of y'all can relate. But this is why it bothers me when I can't properly feed my children now and when I don't have enough food in my house because of those times when I was young. Okay, so I'm realizing now that it's okay and I don't have to freak out if I don't see my fridge full. Like, I don't, it's okay. And I realized how smart I was as a 5th grader and how wise I was even then and how many important decisions that I was making then as a 5th grader. Okay. So yeah, I'm just realizing that I'm not working hard to take care of my kids in spite of the lack of support, just because, oh, I have to do it. No, I'm working hard to make sure that they continue the heritage of breaking cycles, because we're not going back to any of that. We're not going to allow that to prevail. My children and myself, we are going to live the life that I envision. I'm not going to be mediocre or basic for any of the people that have tried to get me to stay there and be there when I know that I'm fully capable of much more. That's for them. It's not for me. That's not what I choose. So this time, when I'm out here working hard, the reasons are different. And I realize that I don't have to have people close to me to enjoy them, because obviously that's a problem. I've been dealing with the wrong people when it comes to, trying to share assets and things like that. And I can enjoy people and still have my own sanctuary where I have my things that are not going to be destroyed, where I don't have to worry about feeding everybody and having enough food and all this and that. Because one thing I figured out about myself is that the way I manifest is hard for people to keep up because I'm not attached to things. So I could have a whole bunch of everything, but if I'm dealing with the wrong people or if I'm doing something for the wrong reasons, I'm not afraid to destroy it and start it all over again. So, I went through the abandonment and the temporariness of material things as a child to prepare me for right now, because I've had so many experiences where I've had a lot and then I've lost a lot. So I know how to lose and I know how to gain. And now I am finally at the point where I'm working on actually maintaining in a way that suits me, not in a way that suits some other people that are on a different programming, on a different timeline. For me, maintaining doesn't mean that I'm in a house and I have all my favorite things and I'm sitting here being still. No, I want to travel. So that's what I'm going to do. So maintaining for me just simply means maintaining a budget and, having assets and having my money work for me and continue to grow while I'm out there traveling, enjoying life and learning. And there's no reason why my kids can't travel too. This is why we all have passports. So yeah, we may all be going through some level of healing today, and I'm just letting you know you're not alone, and your belief system may be changing about some things, and it's to free you so that you can gain better success than you have before with no regrets, with no fallbacks. This time, it like literally Spirit is saying this time it's for real, because you've tried like so many different ways with so many different situations and you figured out all of the things that don't work, and this time it's gonna work for you and it's gonna be awesome, and you're gonna be 100% fulfilled now that you've figured out what you don't like, what you don't want, and what type of people that you are able to have in your life to where you can still keep things the way that you want them and enjoy your stuff in a long-term way. So yeah, being humble can be a safety net, covering up some childhood stuff that you didn't realize was keeping you from flourishing. So yeah, I'm going to continue to allow these impressions to come through and cry it out if I need to. And I suggest y'all do the same. The emotional body is releasing in the now. So love to you all. I've got to take my children to school because they did not wake up to their alarms. So love to you all, and I'll talk to you soon.